Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every person's life when enough is enough, when struggle becomes fuel, when the pain of staying the same finally outweighs the fear of change. That moment is not on the calendar. It does not arrive by invitation. It rises like a storm inside you, and if you're listening, you can feel it now. This is not just about money. This is about reclaiming your power, because being broke is not the problem. Staying broke is. And make no mistake, your current circumstances are not your conclusion. They are your call to rise. You may have pennies in your pocket, but you have gold in your mind. You may be drowning in debt, but your potential is priceless. You may have been counted out, overlooked, doubted, but the moment you decide to fight for your future, you become dangerous, not to others, but to every excuse that ever held you back. You don't need a miracle. You need a reason. And once you find that reason, you'll stop chasing survival and start creating legacy. You cannot rise by accident. You cannot stumble into wealth. Success at any level, especially the kind that transforms a person from broke to billionaire, begins with one thing: definiteness of purpose. This is not a motivational phrase. It is a law, an unbreakable law of life and achievement that no man, no woman, no empire has ever been built without it. It is the foundation of every fortune and the root of every revolution. Definiteness of purpose means that you know exactly what you want, not vaguely, not someday, not something more. No, exactly. Clear, specific, focused. It means you have a target so precise that your thoughts, your time, your energy, and your entire being begin to move in perfect alignment with it. Purpose is the engine. It is the lens that brings your life into focus. People who live without purpose drift. They bounce between jobs, relationships, goals, ideas, never landing, never building, never completing. And they wonder why nothing sticks. It is because the world does not bend to the wishes of the uncertain. It only moves for those who know what they are here to do. When you possess definiteness of purpose, you eliminate noise. You stop wasting time on things that don't move you forward. You stop chasing approval. You stop needing permission. Because when you are clear on where you're going, distractions become obvious and irrelevant. Every action is either a step forward or a step backward. You no longer guess, you know. The person without purpose wakes up wondering what the day will bring. The person with purpose wakes up and tells the day what it will be. That single shift, being the designer of your life rather than the observer, separates the broke from the builders. Purpose gives you power. It gives your struggle meaning. It gives your pain a place. And more than that, it fuels discipline. When your aim is clear, your efforts are consistent. When your why is strong, your will becomes unbreakable. Ask yourself right now, what do I want so deeply, so seriously, that I am willing to trade years of sweat, sacrifice, and solitude for it? Because that's the truth. You are trading your life for something. Your time is the price. Your days are the payment. So what are you buying with them? The wealthy know this. They are not merely working for money. They are building around a mission. Money follows mission. Fortune follows focus. The world rewards the individual who commits to a cause so completely that even failure becomes part of the formula. You don't need talent. You don't need connections. You don't need a miracle. You need a target. You need to stop waiting, stop wandering, stop hoping that the path will appear. You must decide, and once you do, you must declare war on distraction. Your mind is powerful, but it needs orders. Without orders, it turns on itself. It doubts, it delays, it second guesses. But with direction, it becomes unstoppable. It finds solutions where others see problems. It creates opportunities where others see nothing. It endures what others cannot, because it knows why. There is no such thing as wasted effort when you are moving with purpose. Every loss becomes education. Every delay becomes preparation. Every rejection becomes redirection. Purpose turns setbacks into strategy. You don't need 100 goals. You need one, a definite major purpose. One burning obsession. One cause you would climb for, bleed for, fight for, rise for. That is where your power begins. Not in motivation, but in meaning. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot chase 5 dreams. Focus is the gateway to fortune. Choose your mountain and climb it. Don't quit. Don't wander. Don't pivot every time it gets hard. Stay the course and bend the world to your will. Definiteness of purpose is not something you wait to feel. It's something you choose to live by. And once you do, everything changes. Your friends change. Your thoughts change. Your standards rise. Your time becomes sacred. And slowly, day by day, decision by decision, your life transforms. Not because of chance, not because of luck, but because you chose your path and refused to stray from it. That is definiteness of purpose. That is how the climb begins. Faith is not a feeling. It is not a wish, a prayer, or a moment of inspiration that fades when life gets hard. Faith is a force, a mental and emotional certainty that becomes your internal foundation when the world offers you none. If you are broke, the first thing you must build is not a business or a product. It is belief. Not belief in the system, not belief in the economy, not even belief in other people. The most important and powerful belief you will ever hold is the belief in yourself, in your ability to learn, to grow, to endure, and to create. Faith is the ability to see wealth before it shows up in your bank account. It is the power to walk like a millionaire before you ever hold $1. It is the mindset of someone who knows that current circumstances are not the end, but merely the beginning of a greater story. Those who rise from the ashes do so because their faith never leaves them. They are laughed at. They are misunderstood. They are doubted by those closest to them. But they keep moving, not because of evidence, but because of inner evidence. They know that what lives inside them is bigger than any obstacle they will face. Faith does not remove fear. It does not eliminate failure. It does not prevent hardship, but it makes you stronger than all of it. It becomes your compass when logic says quit. It becomes your oxygen when the climb gets steep. Faith is not blind. It sees what others cannot because it is focused not on what is, but on what can be. You must believe when no one claps for you. You must build when no one watches. You must push when the rewards are not visible and the sacrifices are great. Because here is the truth. Every person who ever became great, every billionaire who ever started with nothing, first held wealth in their mind long before they held it in their hands. This kind of belief is a discipline. It is not something you stumble into. It is something you train. Every single day, you feed it, you speak it, you protect it, because the moment you allow doubt to fester, the moment you give fear permission to grow, your vision begins to weaken. And when your vision weakens, your decisions lose power. Faith must be protected like treasure, guarded against toxic voices, against environments that shrink your thinking, against habits that drain your confidence. You cannot afford to let your faith leak. What you believe shapes what you become. What you believe directs how you behave, and how you behave determines how far you rise. This is why you must be careful who you listen to. The wrong voices will make you believe you're incapable. They'll make you question the dream that was born in you. But no one else was given your vision. No one else was called to your mission. So why should their fear be your reality? Your journey from broke to billionaire will be filled with silence, long hours, dark seasons, empty accounts. But if your belief is intact, you will keep going. You will not look at your conditions, you will look at your convictions. You will not measure your future by your failures, you will measure it by your capacity to rise again. And faith does not wait. Faith moves. It acts even when the path is unclear. It takes steps when the staircase has not yet appeared. It builds momentum in the face of uncertainty because faith knows. I am not waiting for the world to approve me. I am not hoping someone will pick me. I am not asking for luck. I am here to create what I need. Your belief will be tested. It will be pushed to the limit. You will face rejection, loss, betrayal, confusion. But what you must understand is this. These trials are not punishments. They are purification. They are shaping your character, your hunger, your resilience, and only the tested can be trusted with greatness. No one hands $1 billion to someone who has not proven they can handle 100. Faith is how you prove it. Faith is how you show up today when there is no applause. It's how you invest when there's no return. It's how you speak life when everything around you looks dead. This inner conviction gives you something priceless, consistency, because the world rewards the consistent, not the occasion, the bold, not the comfortable, the focused, not the distracted. Faith trains you to act like the person you are becoming, not the person you've been. So when you rise each morning, ask yourself, what do I believe about myself? What do I believe is possible for my life? Because if your answer is small, your actions will shrink. But if your belief is massive, if you believe you are built for impact, wealth, and legacy, then your actions will rise to match it. Faith allows you to make bold moves, to start the business no one understands, to write the vision everyone doubts, to work the hours no one sees. Because you're not doing it for validation, you're doing it because you already see where this is going. And here is the secret. The world follows the man or woman who walks with belief. People are drawn to certainty. They want to follow someone who doesn't just hope, but know. Your faith becomes your magnet. Your belief becomes your brand. And your consistency becomes your proof. You do not need to convince others. You need to convince yourself. You need to become so aligned with your mission, so certain of your outcome, that nothing can pull you away from it. When you walk like that, speak like that, work like that, the world begins to respond, not because of luck, but because of faith. Failure is not the enemy. It is the instructor. It is the quiet voice behind every misstep whispering, here is what didn't work. Here is where you must adjust. Here is what must be refined. But most people never hear that voice because the sting of failure drowns it out. Understand this. Every person who has ever achieved massive success has failed more than the average person has even tried. They failed not because they were weak, but because they were in motion, because they were creating, experimenting, pushing boundaries, challenging norms. And when you move forward in life, resistance is inevitable. The broke fear failure. The wealthy use it. The broke stop after their first defeat. The The wealthy know defeat is a sign they are in the arena, not sitting in the stands. They expect failure, not as an end point. When you fail, you are being handed something far more valuable than most ever recognize: clarity. Failure shows you what doesn't work, and by doing so, it illuminates what might. Every mistake is a message. Every rejection is a redirection. Every breakdown contains the blueprint for a better approach. If you fall and immediately assume you're not good enough, smart enough, or capable enough, you rob yourself of the lesson. But if you stand back up, ask the right questions, reflect honestly, and keep building, your failure becomes fuel. It becomes data. It becomes experience. Think about this. A child learning to walk falls thousands of times, but not once do they interpret the fall as evidence that walking is impossible. They get up again and again. Why? Because failure hasn't been labeled as shame. It hasn't been poisoned by pride. But as we grow older, we learn to avoid failure, to fear it, to protect our ego rather than sharpen our skill. This is a mistake. If you avoid failure, you also avoid growth. And if you avoid growth, you remain exactly where you are. The bridge between broke and billionaire is built from bricks of failure. It is made by trial, error, and course correction. The successful do not avoid mistakes. They make more of them, faster, and they recover quicker because they no longer personalize the loss. They understand that the outcome is separate from their identity. You must learn to dissect your failure, not emotionally, but scientifically. What specifically went wrong? What variables did you overlook? What assumptions were incorrect? Where was your preparation insufficient? What would you do differently if given the chance? This mindset turns you from a victim of your past into a master of your future. But this requires humility. You must be humble enough to admit your own role in the result. Most people blame. They blame the market, the timing, the economy, other people. But the moment you blame, you surrender your power. Responsibility reclaims it. And when you reclaim your power, you regain the ability to change the outcome next time. The game is this: fail forward. Don't just fail, fail forward. Fail in the direction of growth. Fail with awareness. Fail while moving with intent. And do it quickly. Do not drag out your missteps with self-pity. Reflect, realign, and re-engage with greater precision. You must become resilient, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. You must condition your mind to see setbacks as setups, not stops, because the truth is, the path to greatness is paved with obstacles, and most of them will only reveal themselves through experience. There is no substitute for experience. Books can teach principles, mentors can guide, but the lessons that alter you, the lessons that carve wisdom into your character, those only come from pain, from loss, from missing the mark and having to face yourself honestly. Those are the lessons that stick. And here's something else the world doesn't tell you. Failure earns you credibility, not when you hide it, not when you deny it, but when you own it, learn from it, and rise from it. People respect the one who keeps showing up, who grows in public, who becomes better through battle. That person becomes a leader, not because they are perfect, but because they are relentless. The truth is, your biggest breakthrough often lies on the other side of your biggest breakdown. But most people never reach it. They stop just short, right before the shift happens. Why? Because pain scares them more than mediocrity. But if you can embrace that pain, if you can see the lesson within it, if you can walk through it instead of running from it, you gain a strength that cannot be shaken. Do not wish for an easy path. Wish for wisdom. Wish for refinement. wish for depth. These things only come from fire. Let your failures refine you, not define you. The world is full of people who never lost because they never tried. They played small, they stayed safe, they avoided discomfort, and they wake up decades later not with memories but regrets. Don't become one of them. Fail intelligently. Fail with intention. Study your losses. Extract the lesson. Apply it fast. Adjust your aim. Elevate your standards and go again. Wiser, sharper, stronger. Because failure isn't the opposite of success. It is the path to it. The distance between dreams and reality is measured in action, not intentions, not affirmations, not desire. Action. And not occasional bursts of effort, but sustained, disciplined, strategic action, the kind of action that most avoid because it is not glamorous, not instantly rewarded, and not easy. This is the great separator. Talent alone will not take you from broke to billionaire. Ideas will not take you there. Even belief, though essential, will only carry you so far. It is action, daily, unyielding, well-directed action that moves the needle. The consistent execution of meaningful work is the price of greatness. The myth is that success comes in waves of inspiration, that you will feel driven every day. But the truth is, discipline begins when motivation fades. Discipline is what makes you rise when comfort begs you to rest. It is what makes you show up when no one is watching. It is what pushes you to refine your craft even when the applause is absent. The world gives its rewards not to those who are the smartest or most gifted, but to those who can persist, who can stay focused, who can do the boring, difficult, repetitive work that others run from. The billionaire mind is not built in moments of excitement. It is built in early mornings, late nights, canceled distractions, and unbroken focus. Your future is hidden in your habits. Show me what you do every day, and I will show you where you are going. If your actions are scattered, impulsive, and driven by emotion, your results will reflect that chaos. But if your actions are clear, deliberate, and aligned with your vision, your success becomes predictable. Discipline is not restriction, it is liberation. It frees you from inconsistency. It protects you from regret. It gives you control over your destiny rather than letting it drift with the winds of impulse. You become the architect of your life because your decisions are no longer dictated by mood, but by every single day you have a choice. Will you act in alignment with the person you are becoming, or will you act according to the person you have been? Will you honor your potential, or will you betray it for temporary comfort? The cost of your dream is paid daily, not in one lump sum, but in daily deposits of effort, attention, and discipline. When you operate with disciplined action, you no longer ask, do I feel like it? You ask, is this required? And if the answer is yes, you execute. Winners remove the emotion from execution. They don't negotiate with their responsibilities. They treat their goals like obligations, not options. That mindset creates inevitability. Let there be no confusion. Discipline will demand sacrifices. You will give up leisure, comfort, and at times popularity. You will have to say no when others say yes. You will choose the gym over the couch, the work over the party, the future over the now. But those sacrifices are not punishment. They are preparation. You are earning the right to handle what most people only fantasize about. Consistency is the compound interest of discipline. One small, focused, intentional action done every day may seem insignificant in the moment, but done over weeks, months, years, it becomes unstoppable. This is where most people fail. They quit too early. They don't stay long enough at the grindstone. They look for quick results, and when they don't appear, they abandon the process. But the disciplined understand success is not always visible in the beginning. Like roots growing underground, the early stages of growth are hidden, but that does not mean nothing is happening. If you trust the process, if you remain faithful in your actions, results will follow. The harvest always comes, but only to those who have first sown with consistency. Your schedule is your truth. You may say your dream matters to you, but does your calendar reflect that? Do your hours match your ambitions? Discipline means building a routine that aligns with your values and protecting it like your life depends on it, because it does. You must also learn to eliminate distractions. Discipline is not just about doing what is right, it is also about refusing what is irrelevant. Every minute spent scrolling, drifting, delaying is a minute stolen from your legacy. You must become ruthless with your time. Filter your focus. Only act on what matters. And here is the secret few talk about. Discipline builds confidence. Every time you follow through on what you said you would do, you reinforce your own belief in yourself. You begin to trust your own word. You begin to see yourself as reliable. That identity creates unstoppable momentum, because the strongest force in human nature is the need to remain consistent with who we believe we are. Discipline sharpens your instincts. It gives you insight. It makes you faster, more precise, more dangerous. When the world hesitates, you move. When others wait for opportunity, you create it. When others stop at enough, you keep going, because you are not powered by hype, you are powered by habit. You do not rise to the level of your dreams, you fall to the level of your discipline. If your discipline is shallow, your dreams will remain out of reach. But if your discipline is deep, anchored, and unshakable, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Discipline is the proof that you are serious, that you are not playing, that you are not hoping. You are building, and each day that you act with discipline, you separate yourself from the masses, not with noise, but with results. So take action, not when it's easy, not when you feel inspired, but especially when it's hard, especially when no one else would, because that's where the advantage is. That's where champions are made. That's where legacies are written, not in moments of comfort, but in the crucible of disciplined action. And so I say to you, the transformation from broke to billionaire is not a miracle. It is not magic. It is a method built upon thought, shaped by vision, strengthened through faith, refined by failure, and realized through disciplined daily action. You do not need to wait, not for permission, not for luck, not for the right time, because the time is already here. The opportunity already exists. It waits not in the hands of others, but in the quiet chambers of your own mind. The world does not owe you riches. It owes you nothing, but it will reward you generously and without limit if you give it something of value, something born of your belief, your work, your sacrifice, and your fire. Do not allow your current conditions to define you. What you are today is only temporary, unless you choose to make it permanent. Choose instead to build. Choose instead to rise. Choose instead to become more than even you believed possible. For the ladder, from broke to billionaire, is climbed not in leaps, but in daily decisions. Each step is a choice. Each step is a commitment. And each step brings you closer to the life that deep down you were meant to live. And now the choice is yours. Think boldly. Believe fiercely. Fail forward. Act with relentless discipline. And one day you will look back not as the one who wished, but as the one who won. Until then, may your thoughts be rich, your actions precise, and your destiny unstoppable. Goodbye, and go build a life that's already waiting for you.